Welcome to a Friday night unfiltered stream. I am Pop Blender, your host, on another wonderful, somewhat muggy Friday night. And we'll be going over a few topics, taking our time a little bit, having a little fun, joking around, all that good stuff. And hopefully, as we get going, we'll have some people slide into the chats and mess around with us for a little bit. So we shall see. We'll see who all decides to stop in anyway. Got a few different things to talk about. Nothing too crazy, but sometimes there's a slow news week. Sometimes it's depends on what you want to get into, right? Sometimes it's just stuff that you might find interesting. Some things you feel maybe not appropriate or for this stream, but I'll touch a lot of subjects. That's for sure. Oh, and yes, I noticed earlier, Wraith Mace, first one in the comments earlier, about 45 minutes early, and it is very good to see that name pop up. Got a message from him the other night, post surgery, and so far so good. Everything seems to be good. Got a road for recovery, but it doesn't matter. The main part, at least the first step, is out of the way, and that's great news. And also great news that hearing is intact, evidently, and that was a major concern. So glad to see you here, Wraith, and you hang out as long as you want, buddy. Anybody else feels like chiming in, whatever, just hop on in the chat. I see Matthew Matson is here also, so we kind of run it down so far. Model Misfit, Matthew Matson, and Matthew Matson says he's prepping a Marvel Knight shoot while watching Blade, Daredevil, Moon Knight, Ghost Rider, Punisher. Wish you had a Blade. Seeing there's only one. I mean, obviously your Marvel Legends and stuff like that are going to be your your template, right, for those. A movie Blade, I don't know. We might look that up in a little bit and see what those go for. And if you can find one. 3-star draw dropping by. He's got a nice little trip planned. I won't reveal a lot about that. I'll let him show y'all the stuff or show you what he's going to do. Anyway, so yeah, I'm just hanging out. My son's on the couch. He's playing some Hitman 3 again. He loves that game. Of course, he's been in school all week, so I know he's probably pretty tired. One of these days, I'll try to get him on here with me and go over some stuff if he wants to. We'll have to have like a dual setup. Be kind of neat. Find some topics that he might want to chime in about because he has his opinions, that's for sure, and he's not afraid to let you know them. So I want to start out just messing around with a couple of things I saw on Twitter a few minutes ago. I thought was pretty funny, and we'll get into it in just a second. Frostbite, G.I. Joe Repro in the house, stopping by. So far we got 8 eyes on us, and then 2 more right here in front of you. Hit the like button, subscribe, although I know everybody here obviously is. Anyway, I stumbled across something kind of funny on Twitter earlier, and I gotta play it for you because these 2 clips. One clip is indicative of the American voter, and then the other clip is I just thought funny. Eric Thurman also stopping by. What's up, man? Good to see you. Okay, so I'm gonna get started just a little bit here, just to have a little bit of fun. This is this lady. She is very, very educated. This is like a news show that is interviewing her about. This was back at the beginning of the summer. They interviewed her, and then they'll revisit her again. It's only 50 seconds long. It's pretty short. But her comments are very telling, and I've talked to a lot of people that are just like her, recently, and maybe you guys have talked to people in your life just like this lady I'm about to show you. Um, but it definitely reminds me of many American voters. Make sure we got our volume, and away we go.
I'm living paycheck to paycheck. I'm stealing from Peer to PayPal. And I know it's cyclical. I know, you can't blame the sitting president for everything that's wrong. You can't blame past presidents for everything that's wrong. But come on, guys, we got to do something.
Okay. Can't blame the former president. Can't blame the current president. So you got to figure out who can you blame. All right. So this was the beginning of the summer, and that was kind of how she felt. Now this lady, she's going to go into that was they visit her at the beginning of the summer, and now they've gone back after Joe Biden dropped out. They're going to revisit her again to find out how she feels.
Again, that was earlier this summer. I checked in with Michelle again after President Biden dropped out of the race.
How do you feel about the race now?
This is going to sound crazy, but I feel better because I don't know. I said on my last interview, like, don't really hear from Kamala, but I think I'm with Kamala. I've watched her. I think she has to get her feet wet. She was only the vice president, but I think a woman running this country, oh God, I hope.
So she has to get her feet wet. I don't even think Kamala's gotten a toe wet. I'm not sure. But so I don't even know where this lady is. She's all over the board. It is the same woman. Yes, 3 stars. It is the same. It's the same woman. She's got her hair pulled back. And it's later on in the summer. It's like a few months later or something like that, like earlier this year and now later this year. But it's completely nonsensical. Because at first, the first interview, she's like, well, I know things are cyclical. You can't blame the prior president. You can't blame the current president. All right. So, all right, then we got to figure something else out, right? And so that's about all you get out of it. But then the next interview, she's like, well, I'm with Kamala. And it's so, well, why? I know she needs to get her feet wet. She only was vice president. Now, in my lifetime, traditionally, your vice president has been the one that's been groomed to run for office. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. It's just what it seemed like, what I've always encountered. But anyway, so I thought that was funny. As far as I've talked to a lot of people who are basically just like that. And truly just don't really have any reason why. They don't know why. They don't know any policies. They don't follow anything. They don't read anything. They just know that this person is the person for them because of something, something. So here's the next one that I wanted to show, and I thought this was quite appropriate and actually quite funky. Okay, but anyway, so oh, it's just beautiful. Wait a minute. Did I just pause that? Did I just pause that on like the perfect frame? Oh Lord. Eyes closed and everything. All right. So anyway, just to start out, I had to have a good laugh just to get going here, y'all. And Bobby Wold stops in as a Vale. Says, if you could solve the world's problems by laughing like a rabbit hyena, that Kamala has it in the bag, I will give you that. And yes, 3-star. That is how people say she got there. Unfortunately, that didn't help Monica Lewinsky in her career. But man, that's tough. Like I said, that didn't help Monica Lewinsky in her career. Anyway, whatever. All right. So now I got my laughs out of the way. I do have kind of a fun post that we can debate that I saw the other day. Yep, soundboard. I'm actually working on my profile for my Stream Deck so I can be a lot quicker on the draw, the 3-star draw without the L. Anyway, so yep, Hawk Tua much? And Model Misfit says herd mentality. Yes, it is. Eric Thurman, more identity politics from the left. Yeah, the thing of it is, either way, I mean, I don't care what side you vote for. I really truly don't. What I would ask is that anybody at the very least research, right? Like actually do some research. Don't look at a headline and get pissed. Don't look at a headline and get emotional and go, that's exactly right. That's what I believe. Read the articles from trusted sources, which are hard to find these days. And that's why a lot of people are getting their news from alternative sites. They're getting news from people like you and me, even. But at the same time, there still are places to get actual real news. And so I've just asked people, hey, just, look something up. Don't just read a headline, right? And don't just regurgitate something on Twitter or share something that you really don't even know anything about. You'll see a lot of people talk about the Israel Hamas, conflict going on, and they actually don't even really know what happened. They couldn't tell you what happened. They have no idea, and yet they have an opinion on it. And that's a lot of people these days. So yes, I just ask everybody, hey, just do a little research, just a little bit. You don't have to go crazy buck wild if you don't want to, but just, a little bit more than just surface dwelling, so to speak. And so you can be educated. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to make a difference for a lot of people. People are just going to vote the way they're going to vote. And that's how it goes. And that's why we have cities that have 50 years of inadequacies, because people have decided they're going to vote the same way and nothing changes. So I feel like 4 years is such a short amount of time to try something new. Just to try it. Just try something different. Wraith Mace. It's Betty by time for this feller. Hopefully I didn't bore you with the quick politics up front. I am going to get into some stories here, actually, a few different things. But I know you need rest and relaxation. So by all means, brother, you get on your thing, and I'm sure I will talk to you soon. I know I'll definitely be messaging you soon. That's for sure, man. So get you some rest, buddy. Very glad to hear from you. All right. So got a fun little list here. Maybe y'all might be kind of interested in, but first, I wanted to bring up something that some of you may or may not know. Do you guys know whether or not San Diego Comic-Con is going to be in San Diego moving forward? Evidently, they're trying to come to an agreement really with the hotels when it comes to price gouging. And man, this website is just jacked up. It's like I'm almost scared to show you guys this site. You can't go to anything without 400 ads and then videos that just start playing. I'm gonna start archiving these pages from now on. I can't handle this crap. Yeah, and Matthew did mention that a few weeks ago, touched on that. Yeah, so the thing of it is that they're probably gonna have to move somewhere else. Mainly the issue, ultimately, is price gouging at hotels. It's just become so ridiculously expensive for people. And, they're trying to work out an agreement to, to figure out a way that people can come into town. They have a contract through 2025. So it's locked into San Diego through next year. For decades, the San Diego Comic-Con has negotiated block rates for rooms so they can offer out-of-town people, exhibitors, professionals, and give them a discount. And that deal ends next year. And of course, we know how the world works in just has now. And I don't remember exactly when they signed this contract, so to speak. But we know that people and companies are out to make all of the money, not some of it, not a bit of it. They want to make all of it. And therefore, you think about the places that are deluxe hotels, walking distance. They run $300 a night, right? I mean, which is crazy to me. It's really funny though, because you talk about $300 a night to go to San Diego Comic-Con in a city like San Diego with the weather and it's beautiful. You come to downtown Nashville in the off season and find out what you'll pay to come and stay in Nashville, because you're looking at $300 in the off season. You're looking at $400 plus to stay downtown, and that's in October. That's in March. So, $275, $335 a night is not that crazy to me. Yes, it is high, but nonetheless, come to Nashville and you'll find out a whole new hotel pricing. It's insane. Read a couple chats real quick. Eric Thurman says they should have moved it to El Segundo. And I'm not super familiar with California. Okay. Like I know where El Segundo is. There's a couple of shows I like to watch that are taped there. 3-Star Draw says anywhere that con would move to will have price gouging as well. Well, that's true too, right? Like, no matter where they go, hotels are going to jump their prices up, right? They're going to bump their prices up regardless. I mean, it's going to happen. Bobby Wold says starting a San Diego Comic-Con cruise that launches from Florida. Huh. I mean, that's interesting, I guess. And he's getting emails for it. I mean, that would kind of be cool, but again, you're talking about a cruise. So from a price perspective, I don't know how that all would work out. I mean, really, like I just don't know how that would work out price wise for that. I mean, just for people that want to go. $275. I mean, you're not going to get a cruise that cheap, but cruises are pretty cheap. But it says that, yeah, some hotels have been making fewer and fewer rooms available for the blocks. They know they can charge top dollar. Some of the bigger hotels, they charge 2 and 3 times the going rate. Airbnbs charge significantly more. I'm sure the rideshare companies charge more money, Lyft and Uber. I mean, if it comes down to it, I would hate for them to not be able to get a deal worked out, but we know how these companies are. Like, we know they want all the money. These hotels want all the money. And I can definitely tell you, in some cities, hotels trying to make their money back. because COVID put a real hurting on some of these hotel chains, and then immigration has put a hurting on some of these hotels. Blocking them off and letting illegals stay there. I mean, whether the federal government is paying the hotels or not, and who knows how much money that is, if it is. But either way, bottom line, I mean, if it just comes down to hotel price gouging, I would love to be optimistic that the con would stay in San Diego. I've never been. I'd like to go. I do not have anybody to stay with that I know out there. I'd love to say that I do. I know people who kind of live out there, but I don't know them well enough to stay with them. But yeah, if you don't have anybody to stay with, then you really have to save up. And Bobby went to San Diego Comic-Con in 2022. Jam-packed. Says that really makes San Diego jam-packed, drawing a lot of business. I mean, I would imagine it's good for the local economy, and people going out to eat, and obviously the hotels. But I mean, if the hotels are just going to jack their prices up, this is not uncommon though. I mean, if you look at let's say the CMA Fest in Nashville, that happens in June. It's a week long, and all the hotels as far away as 35 miles or longer are all charging triple rate. These are cheaper in hotels or motels or whatever. 35 miles outside of Nashville are charging $300, $400. I mean, those places charge, $250 to $300 a night right now. There's nothing going on in town, So it doesn't surprise me. It is a shame though that the people who are coming to town, the people that are vendors and all that stuff, that there's not some extra incentive for them to come. I mean, there are obviously attendees or people who are vendors that have the money, companies that have the money, but for just your general public, man, they just want to come and see some trailers and buy some stuff, get some comics, whatever. It's not affordable, right? And even the tickets, like how much are the tickets? I know y'all could tell me in the chat, like how much is a 3-day pass or a 1-day pass? I mean, I can look it up, but I assume since y'all get emails and stuff, you kind of have an idea. And I think the big worry is that, once people stop coming, they'll just go to another convention. They'll budget their money to go to another convention. So instead of going to San Diego Comic-Con, they'll go to a different one. But that might not be such a bad thing, because I've heard it's just way too crowded now. Like it's absolutely out of control. And I, like I said, I would love to go, but I have heard that it is nuts, especially on a Saturday. So Eric Thurman says something like 500. Yeah, I mean, it's dang. That's an expensive con. Matthew Matson, it's not that lucrative. That's part of the problem. Also, local businesses are losing money with San Diego Comic-Con. So explain that to me, Matthew. Like, how are the local businesses, whenever we have like a big event, our local businesses, they gain all that extra, all that extra revenue from people going out to eat and shopping and all that crap. I mean, what would you say the local businesses, how exactly are they losing money? That's kind of what I want to know. Eric Thurman wants to see it come to Tennessee, to maybe the Hermitage. I think the Hermitage is not going to work, but Tennessee, not a bad place to host a con. We have a brand new convention center. It probably would be perfect for a big con like that. I mean, obviously it'd be awesome to have it in my hometown. Are you kidding me? I mean, shoot, I would love that. Let's see what else. Matthew says they'll make it to 4 conventions for the price of San Diego. Yeah, no doubt. Bobby says it was like $75 a ticket when they went. Yeah, either way, bottom line is after next year, we'll find out. It might be a thing of the past after one more year. And it is what it is. Now, I think also in this too, the size of the convention center is somewhat of a deal with this because it can only hold so many people. Therefore, you can only have so many people. So it kind of does help limit population as far as that's concerned, in a way. I mean, so here we go. Here's Matthew responding to me. Many of the local businesses are renting their space to companies like Super 7. People do not patronize local stuff. They are at the hotel and the convention and nothing else. Well, um, I kind of get that. When we went to Augusta, I mean, we were at the convention and we stayed at the hotel at the convention center. However, we did go eat, but it wasn't like we were out and about running around. And I guess that does make sense, Matthew. Really, most of the people are spending all their time. And then chances are they're at their hotel bar hanging out like we did at Joe Fest or any other kind of deal. You're going to be hanging out just there. And that way you can just go right to bed, when you want to, and then get up and go, get up in the morning and go right to the con. So anyway, I don't know. I thought it was a little interesting. I know that story's been out for a little while, but I just kind of want to get y'all's impression, a little bit of kind of maybe what would happen and what other cities maybe that it could move to. If they want to keep it out west, I'm sure there are other cities that could probably take it on. That would be absolutely fine with it. But again, it is a matter of having the convention space. I think it's a matter of having the number of hotels. It's kind of like, not in the same way though. The NFL, when they award a Super Bowl to a city, there are criteria that you have to meet. And those criteria are you have to have X amount of hotel rooms available in the city. You have to have a stadium that meets these criteria. You have to have enough parking that meets this criteria. You have to have, there's all kinds of little ifs, ands, and buts and all this stuff. And all those things factor into whether a city can be awarded a Super Bowl. And Nashville is building a brand new stadium for the Tennessee Titans, and they want to host a Super Bowl. They want to get a Super Bowl here in Nashville. So that and that has spurred on even more construction, more hotels and all that shit. And I know that, Eric Thurman's saying, I don't think he can leave California. Matthew says Reno could be one. But yeah, I know all the movie stars go to it. Not all of them, but it's definitely become that, right? It's definitely become that movie star thing where it used to mainly be nerds, and now it's Marvel. Once Marvel blew up, they kind of took over and really dominate it now. And then let's see. Yeah, maybe Hollywood has a lot of control over it. I don't know what kind of deals and all that kind of stuff. The thing of it is, bottom line is you still see people and companies go to San Diego Comic-Con. Something that kind of has died now was the that I loved was the E3. The E3 and just the fact that all that has kind of died off. Companies stopped going. Now companies can show their game trailers online. They can have their own day for their company, and everybody kind of schedules it. So Nintendo, Xbox, nobody has to travel and go to those conventions anymore. But the conventions were, so much for the fans to go play new games, play demos, get some merchandise, check stuff out. You could roll in all that other stuff with it. And now it's all dead. It's gone. And the video game companies just said, screw it. My background actually, let's see if I can figure out a way to show you. I'll remove myself quickly from the screen and you can see the back. That's my background. Is that the omnibus cover? I think it is. It's kind of a low res though. Bobby Wold says fan exposed just as exciting, doesn't feel as blown out of proportion as San Diego Comic-Con, the fan expo. Just no exclusives that he's interested in. Yeah. And yeah, Twilight definitely changed a lot of the Comic-Con culture for sure. And so yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I'd love to make it out there. It's kind of like an old rock star. You ever had those old rock stars and pop stars where you're like, well, I've never seen Billy Joel, whoever, whatever, doesn't matter. I'll catch them next time. I'll catch it next time. And then like 20 years goes by and all of a sudden they died or they're retiring, right? Or they're just like too old to go out on tour. And you've put it off for 25 years, right? It's kind of like that. It's kind of like, I'll get out there one of these days. And then, 15 years goes by or whatever it is. And it's like, 20 years. It's like, well, I guess I'm not going to be able to make it to San Diego Comic-Con. It's the same thing in like certain music artists where it's like, well, I guess I'm never going to see so-and-so. Even though you had a million chances to do it, you just put it off. It's kind of the same thing to me. So did you guys know that Amazon is making a He-Man movie? Do you know that? I really didn't. Evidently, they have some of the cast for the He-Man movie. It says Masters of the Universe. Camila Mendez nabs key role of Tila in Amazon's He-Man movie. There we see a comparison picture here. What do you think, guys? Do you think this is obviously they can change hair color, they can put clothes, obviously the costume, and all that kind of stuff. What do you think side by side here on the Tila comparison? A 3-star draw says he saw something about that today. Yeah, this first news to me. And I saw this article. It says Camila Mendez, the actress best known for playing Veronica in the CW series Riverdale. That's where I know her from. And I ain't really watched that show, but I've seen clips. Yeah, she kind of looks like a Veronica. Looks more like a Veronica than a Tila, I guess. We'll see. Mattel Films, MGM Studios, and Mattel Films. Mattel Films. I don't think I've ever read that before in my life. Mendez will star opposite Nicholas Galitzine, or Galitzine, the idea of you, who is playing the role of He-Man. You know what? Let's look him up, shall we? Let's look up Nicholas Well, hello. It's the first thing that popped up because Google is always listening. I promise you. All right. So let's share this tab instead, and then we'll go back to the other one. Boom. All right, there he is, right there. This fella's playing He-Man. Does he look like He-Man to you? Don't everybody answer at the same time. Prince Adam. You know what I'd like to see? I would like to see a different actor portray He-Man. That's what I'd like to see. So this is from Variety. Let's just pull it up right here. I would like to see a different actor portray He-Man and a different actor portray Prince Adam. So therefore you go from the demure, kind of timid, shy, not square-jawed Prince Adam to Lou Ferrigno, right? Like that would be cool. Have two actors do it. Yeah, I mean, he's got locks, right? But he doesn't have those locks. They're not going to give him this haircut. You already know that. They're not giving him this haircut. I mean, I'll be shocked if they give him this haircut. Well, maybe they will. Maybe they will in current day and age. Maybe they will give him that haircut. Man, look at that. His nips are hanging out the other side of it. Look at that, man. What a massive barrel chest on He-Man he's got there. Holy shit. So Nicholas Galatzine, I'd say, may need to call his hairdresser. You named it, 3-star. The brunette actor has been cast as He-Man, the blonde barbarian. Bumblebee director Travis Knight is directing the movie. Okay, so I have a little faith. It's going to be 2 years before we see it, tentatively. 2 years. And yes, I did say nips hanging out. Yeah, so okay, so the Bumblebee movie wasn't terrible by any means. Man, look at this. Check this out though. 2-decade plus journey to the big screen. So Warner Brothers and Sony, then Netflix, who axed it in 2023. They've had several directors: Kung Fu Panda director, Wicked director, Charlie's Angels, Lost City director, West Side Story actor Kyle Allen was at one point attached to play He-Man. Evidently that fell apart. Wow, man. Yeah, look, I remember in the 80s, they wanted to do that, and it took a long time. When they finally did it, it was garbage. It was. Yeah, plot details. We don't know. We have no freaking clue. No clue. Did any of y'all see that recent He-Man Revelations though? Did you happen to see that one though? That was a bait and switch if I ever saw one, wasn't it? Should have been called The Adventures of Teela. The Adventures of Teela and her lover. Because there was no He-Man. Like it just, that was terrible. Bait and switch for sure. Are y'all excited for a He-Man live action movie on Amazon, no doubt? So we know it's going to be extremely diverse. But I would expect no less on Eternia, because Eternia was rather diverse. So it fits. It makes sense. If they make Teela more powerful than He-Man, then I'll maybe have an issue. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Screenplay, Chris Butler. Blah 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 blah. I mean, it's not, until this thing starts ramping up, we start getting some screenshots, right? Some production shots, some production news, stuff like that. There's really not a whole lot to say about it, other than the 2 leads basically that they cast. No update on Man at Arms anyway. I did see this earlier though, Matthew. So remember when John Chu was going to direct He-Man right after G.I. Joe Retaliation? It was for an anniversary year. Yes, I do remember that. But yes, because Retaliation failed at the box office, got scared off, and he didn't get to make the film. And that is that happened with the G.I. Joe movie. It went straight to video, because of the reaction to Optimus Prime, correct? Transformers movie did not do well. Let's see. Yeah, page boycott. Miles Teller brought back. Yeah, Miles Teller did bring back the Edo stash. That is true. Look, 3-star. Look, Dolph, did he make a good He-Man? Yes. Was the movie shit? Yes. The plot was stupid. Most of it was filmed on Earth. It took place on Earth. They ran out of money. They had no money to make that movie. Like literally no money to make that movie. That's why it's so basic, bitch. Because Canon had no money left. I mean, basically just that, that was it for Canon. And Matthew, yeah, I did not like Revelations either or whatever. Yeah, I just, yeah, Revelations. Again, bait and switch. And Matthew, I've never seen the extended cut of Retaliation. How, if that fills in some blanks or something like that, somehow, or doesn't like get rid of some characters in the very beginning. But I thought that movie was a total disservice from the very beginning of the movie. What they did. And then everything that had to do with the rise of Cobra with Cobra Commander, that character and how he came to be. And then all of a sudden, the second movie, it's like none of it comes into play, right? And obviously, they're not going to bring back the same actor, Gordon Levitt. And so, yeah, like that was it was an absolute failure. It's going to fail for sure, 100%. Both G.I. Joe movies. Even though the first one moderately made some money, ultimately, not gonna happen. And I don't think, and we've talked about it. We've all talked about it. We all want to have that G.I. Joe movie that is true to the source material, but ultimately, we know that's not going to happen. No, no one's just going to touch that. Because chances are it's just not going to make any money, and we have to accept that, right? Like we have to look deep down and we have to accept the fact and be okay with the fact a G.I. Joe movie is not going to make money. And 3-Star and I were talking about this not too long ago. I think it might have been the last stream. I do firmly believe that when our generation starts to die out, G.I. Joe will become one of those things that people look up online and it's a whatever happened to. I firmly believe that because they've done nothing like other types of IPs. They've done nothing to either reinvigorate or further that line amongst children and excitement in children. They've tried a couple things here or there, but let's face it, it's when we die out, that line is coming with us. And there's other toy lines throughout history that has happened to. But action figures really became a tour de force in our childhoods. That's really when that all went down. And so that'll be kind of the beginning of the data, so to speak, to know that these mass produced toys really came up with us. And so we'll see. Frostbite says, G.I. Joe 6-inch line from the 60s was popular at one point as well. And it was. It for sure was. But nothing like the 3 3/4. Nothing mass produced the way that 3 3/4. Once Star Wars changed the game, once Kenner changed the game on action figures, and the term action figures is all over from there, right? Like it's a whole new world opened up to everybody. It doesn't mean there haven't been other scales and such, but 3 3/4, I mean, that just blew it up. Just blew it up. And Matthew says, "Are you sure G.I. Joe is supposed to die out when all the 12-inch collectors die? Most of them have or are out of the game. We do have some time left." Yes, but again, 12-inch collectors, you can't even. There's no argument. They were nowhere near the mass hysteria that we were as children for the 3 3/4 inch figures. It's not even comparable. The sales aren't comparable. The hype isn't comparable. The multimedia isn't comparable, right? Like it's just not even. It's apples to oranges. You know, those bigger dolls. I mean, they were big, right? And yes, they were marketed, but there's no way in the world that they were as popular nor mass produced as the Real American Hero line. Frostbite says, "What are we actually afraid of if a line does die out? We'll always have the vintage line in our hearts." No, absolutely. But what I was saying is, Frostbite, is that the line when our generation, let's say, just and I don't know how old you are, but I'm just saying, let's say 40s, 40s, 50s, somewhere in there, a 20-year gap, 40 to 60. That line hasn't done nothing to make sure that younger kids are interested in it, where Transformers has done that, right? I don't know about even He-Man, right? But there are certain toy lines that have kind of somewhat kept reinventing themselves. And again, 3-Star Draw said this the other night on our stream. The reason Transformers is able to, because it's robots. It's robots and cars and planes. Kids love robots, cars, and planes and stuff that transforms. Kids they don't always love international task forces or a real American task force, so to speak, right? Like it's kind of a time, so to speak, of a period. Yes, you can remake it in a way, but I just haven't seen them do anything. I mean, who's buying their figures now? It's the people that were buying the 3 3/4 inch figures when they were kids, or who was buying their figures, their parents were buying them for them. Now we're old enough to buy our own, but that's who's buying the classified line. Children are not playing with this stuff. You go up to a kid and say, "Hey, do you know what G.I. Joe is?" They have no clue. They couldn't tell you. You say, "You know what Transformers are?" Guarantee they're going to know. Matthew says, "You never know. They could find a way to invent itself." Yeah, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles does. They've also done it kind of multiple times. We have not seen G.I. Joe do it even once to get children back and interested and fired up. You know what I mean? And I agree, Frostbite. Yes, if it's not mobile phone or tablet or something like that, streaming service, no, kids are not buying it. So action figures already are taking a hurting. That means there's only so many, very few, that are going to continue to be game changers. And, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they could do a new cartoon every 12 years, every 8 years. G.I. Joe's just not going to do that. Right? So, it's going to be very difficult for that line. Look, it pains me to say it, but, I'm just saying. It sucks, but it is what it is. So, did you guys see this too? Actually, you know what, Frostbite? I want to ask you a question. Did you read this story? Did you read this story, Frostbite, about the Australian crossing guard? Have you seen this? I want to share this story. This is just an idea of how crazy this world is these days. If I can get rid of this stupid ad. All right. So I came across this article the other day. Oh my God, how annoying is this? Beloved school crossing guard banned from high-fiving students after parent complaint. Okay. An Australian school community has been left outraged after a cherished crossing guard was banned from high-fiving students following a parent complaint about the innocent gesture. So evidently when kids are dropped off or they're crossing the crosswalk, he gives them a high five, right? We've all seen stuff like that, right? It's fun. The kids, it's fun for the kids, it's a high five. Maybe he gives them a low five. Maybe he goes too slow, pulls his hand back, sucker. Up high, down low, too slow. So, yes, news fishing. But I saw this and I just wanted to, I saw it and I thought, let me read about this. And so I did. And yeah, evidently though, it said that, he's been warned by the council against initiating unnecessary physical contact. And yes, I would think all crossing guards, if they're having fun with their job, are going to have a little bit of riz when they do their job. You know what I mean? Like, how could you not have a little fun with it? Now, the ones here in America, they look like they're literally one step away from death. Like they can't stand what they're doing. But yeah, evidently, it says, people have rallied behind this guy, and the kids loved it, high-fiving him. But basically what happened, and let's see here, they have a petition for 500 signatures as parents. See if I can find the daggum thing. There's so many ads, you can't even read the damn story. There he is. There's the old feller. There's the old mate right there. Anyway, a parent, I guess, wrote that it was improper contact with kids. It said a complaint from a parent at the school about the crossing supervisor dishing out high fives as students were being driven past. It said that the policy states that unacceptable behaviors include exhibiting behaviors with children and young people, which may be construed as unnecessarily physical. And I thought, I was like, what? Unnecessarily physical? Giving high fives to kids? What parent? What stupid ass, blue-haired land whale of a parent that has 7 roommates and eats cat food on Twitch all day and Tumblr artist can somehow construe a crossing guard giving high fives to kids, right, as improper contact, unnecessarily physical. Like, what the hell kind of world? Like, it's, you almost can't believe that something like that, and yes, is it news fishing? Maybe so. But I just find it fascinating. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just can't even that this guy would get reprimanded. It's giving high fives in a freaking crosswalk. And Shane, man, what's going on? Says he's same time toy says at work, just stopping by to say hi, hit the like button. Well, I very much appreciate that. And now is the time to remind everybody, hit the like button. You're probably wondering why I gathered you all here tonight. But yeah, no. It's I just think it's fascinating that one person would look at high fives and somehow think that that's like, improper or unnecessary. Kids love that kind of stuff. They absolutely love that kind of stuff. And yes, idiocracy is definitely real now. It's funny though. It's funny, and yeah, it is a nothing news story, but I got to tell you, it still reminds you that there are people out there who the lights on, but nobody's home, right? Like it's just it just fascinates me that a parent, and it might, it may not even been a parent. It could have been some fruitcake who, for whatever reason, thinks that's inappropriate. Fruitcake that's all about grooming kids, but doesn't want a crosswalk guard giving them high fives. I mean, who knows, man? There's a bunch of freaks out there. Yeah, same time I take some pizza. I know you're already out. And it is a Karen world now, Frostbite. That's for sure. The thing of it is I think, well, Gatorade, it's got electrolytes. It's got what plants need. Yeah, it's just, you think about it and you think, really? Like, there's even just one person? And yet, yes, there is one person out there. Oh my God. Maybe that person didn't grow up with sports, right? Maybe they didn't grow up with sports. They never got high-fived in their life. And I'm just going to leave this right here. I'm not even going to say it. I'm just going to leave it right there on the screen. My sister feels the same way, Frostbite. Just going to leave that right there. War Chest stopping by. What's going on, buddy? Says, what's up, Pop? Not much. Just going over that poor Australian crossing guard who got a talking to by his superiors for high-fiving kids in the crosswalk lane. What an evil man. How dare he do shit like that? Next thing you know, he'll be giving out snacks to the kids and somebody will report him for putting razor blades in the apples. Matthew Madsen says Idiocracy creators saw the most ridiculous things and contacted the company to feature their product in the movie because you'd have to be an idiot to wear them. It was Crocs. I wasn't even ready. I hadn't even read far enough ahead. Yeah, I literally read it in real time, and that was my reaction in real time. I love it. It's great. Oh my God. Yeah, Frostbite, I get it. You don't have to talk to other parents once your kids are out of school. You don't really have to deal with anybody. In a way, I understand. I do. I do. Harry Star Draw says, I call bullshit. I'm wearing a pair now. We got a croc war, y'all. Crikey. Oh my God. War Chest is doing some redeco here, moving shelves in the new toy room. Triple his space so he can dig out the big stuff. And there is a couple pieces you told me about that I'd like to see on those shelves if you can. That's for sure. Yeah, I've never owned any Crocs myself. I ain't gonna lie, or whatever. I've never found them appealing. Now, there are people in the restaurant business who love the non-skid Crocs, guys in the kitchen especially. If you work in a kitchen, it's something you could probably just take home and hose them down at the end of the night, because if you work in a kitchen, you get all kinds of funky stuff on your feet working in a kitchen. That's for sure. You really would. Anyway, no, I thought it was pretty damn funny. Yeah, Eric never worn them in the kitchen. Again, it just personally for me, I just, it's not for me. But if you like your Crocs, by all means. But I don't find them appealing. I'll just say that, visually appealing. But when you get to a certain age, it really doesn't matter, right? Like, you don't care. You just don't give a shit, visually appealing or not, right? You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. You're like, I'll take the comfort over the what they look like any day of the week. So I get it. Trust me. All right, so let's do this. I'm having a little fun here. I found this article on CBR, and this is 3 days ago, and it was a 10 best 80s Saturday morning cartoons that everybody forgot about. Okay. So I want to see this list. And I wanted to see what all they mentioned on here. What cartoons that they thought were just fantastic. Now, it says Saturday morning. I don't remember maybe some of these being Saturday morning. Let's see what they got here. So number 10, the gummy bears. You guys remember the gummy bears? Saturday morning cartoon. This is number 10 on this CBR list. 10 best 80s Saturday morning cartoons. So they've got gummy bears. I remember the gummy bears. You know, I like the gummy bears cartoon. I mean, you know, it wasn't on the top of my list by any means. That's why it's a number 10 here. Um, and yeah, Gummy Bears was a Saturday morning cartoon. You're right. 3-star. But yeah, it says you know, Gummy Bears, the let's see, off-putting, the whole cartoon is just one last. It can be a bit off-putting when a whole race of cartoons, in this case, the Gummy Bears of Gummy Glen, are introduced as the last of a once great race. But in the 1980s, nobody thought in those terms. No, actually, we didn't, and that's what's so funny that we now think in those terms because we kind of had just kind of gotten past all that shit. But anyway, so kids didn't think much of it. Whether they were wise to do so, of course, remains up for debate. All right, so who cares? Gummy bears were adorable, compassionate, coexist peacefully with people, even though people didn't treat them well. Yeah, I mean, you know, number 10 on this list. I mean, we need to see like a big giant list, like a list of like 30, and then we can whittle it down, right? And yeah, I'm not a fan of the sugar-free variation, my friend. Definitely not. And they were bouncing here and there and everywhere, if I remember right. Adventures that beyond compare. That's okay. That's not right. That lyric is incorrect, horribly incorrect. But I'll take it. I'll take it. All right. Let's see here. Snorks. The old Snorks at number 9. I know you guys watch the Snorks, right? I mean, come on with it. Haribo, yeah, definitely for some gummies. So the Snorks are number 9. And Storks was also from the Smurf studio, and that was pretty evident. Definitely. That cartoon produced by the same studio that popularized the Smurfs. Snorks never quite made the same kind of impact. No, they didn't, because they're not as cool. Don't get me wrong. Like, I guess that's cool, but it's not as cool as the Smurfs. And one of the commercials, I'll never forget it. And I still use this phrase actually in real life to this day when I'm talking about somebody who's really short. There was a commercial that used to come on our local airwaves about the Smurfs. And it used to say they're blue. Let's see, they're blue. What's blue? 3 apples high and has its own time zone. The Smurfs. That was the commercial. That was like the tagline for the commercial, and it was like, you know, when they're showing on weekdays or something. And I still use that when I'm joking around with people and they're talking about like somebody and they're like, you know, Sharon, like she's, you know, real short. And I'm like, oh, Sharon, she has her own time zone. It's really stupid, but I still use it. And it comes directly from that commercial that I saw when I was probably 8 years old. 3 apples high and lives in their own time zone or something like that. I still use that to this day. Yes, I know. I live a sad existence. All right. So, Voltron, number 8, anime version of Transformers, more than meets the eye. All right. 1984. I loved Voltron. Let me tell you something. I love Voltron so much. I used to draw, trace Voltron. Oh my God. I'd get those coloring books and I'd trace the coloring books, you know, or whatever. But I used to draw Voltron all the time. Loved Voltron. Had the original die cast. You know, robot. Voltron was big, man. When I was in like, I don't know, 4th grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade, whatever, 84, whatever. Holy shit. I mean, it was Voltron and Robotech. I got introduced to Robotech in like middle school. And Robotech was just the jam, man. The jam. And then I got introduced to some other anime that was very adult, shall we say. It was like this one. I remember these people being in a spaceship and these tentacles come out like from the console, and it's like and they're like robotic tentacles, and they and they like dig into these people, and it was very gory, and like I wish I could remember the name of it. It's a very famous anime, very famous. Matthew might know it for all I know, but it was a very famous anime, and it was very gory, absolutely just brutal. But anyway, so Voltron, it wasn't hentai, but it was very gory. I might even try to look it up, man. But it was in that era, that 80s era of that anime, that early anime around Robotech, and there were a few other very famous series. I'll see if I can't find it here. It wasn't Akira either, but I may be able to dig it up. I might type it up, and maybe it will give it to me. But anyway, so everybody loved Voltron. How could you not love Voltron? I mean, come on. Like, you got to be stupid. G.I. Joe at number 7. Well, obviously not a Saturday morning cartoon, as CBR needs to check their facts, because they are stupid. But nonetheless, yep, G.I. Joe. I'm going to tell you guys, listen, man, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Latchkey kid, I would be riding the bus. I would have my either calculator watch or my little Transformers watch, where you could pop off the Transformer and he would fold his arms and his legs out, and he had a clock on his chest and you could play with him. I had that watch too. And I used to check that time, because if that bus was running behind, man, I was booking it down my street. I was booking it down my street so I could haul ass and make it inside and cut it on G.I. Joe. Or it'd be a Transformers G.I. Joe back to back with like some He-Man thrown in there, maybe some Thundercats. And so you get like a 2-hour block of just some badass cartoons. But I always want to make it home on time. So I would be hauling ass with my book bag down our street, running to get inside and get the key in the door. Because if you were 5 minutes late, 5 minutes late, you might have missed some crucial plot. You might have missed some crucial plot, somebody getting kidnapped, or a doctor, or something happening, with them cartoons. They had to get on them plot lines quick. And man, I'm not kidding. I would be running down my street trying to make sure I didn't miss the first 5 minutes of G.I. Joe, especially. And then they play with the times. You guys remember that? Like, they play with the times. Like, let's say that it would be, the cartoon would come on at 3:30, or it'd be like 4 o'clock. So you knew you had like plenty of time when you got home from school to watch the cartoon you really wanted to watch. But then they'd bump it up and they'd stick something behind it, or they'd swap G.I. Joe and Transformers, or they'd swap He-Man and G.I. Joe or something. And all of a sudden they'd bump G.I. Joe up in the order. So you'd end up missing like, a few minutes of it. Like, that used to piss me off, dude. Eric Thurman said I was screwed over by G.I. Joe cartoons as a kid. How were you screwed over by G.I. Joe cartoons as a kid? What happened? I want to know this story. Yeah, I know Matthew is a big Jason the Wheeled Warriors fan. He-Man and G.I. Joe is what I couldn't wait to watch, and Gumby. Gumby by Gum. I got Matthew, all my Gumby knowledge and history came from Eddie Murphy. That's all I'm going to say about that. Yes, and when they would change G.I. Joe to mornings, so like if you had to go to like a daycare or babysitter to go to their house to wait on the bus, like what I had to do is I'd have to go around the corner to somebody's house, and then there'd be a bunch of kids there, and you'd catch the bus there, because my mom would have to go to work early. And so you go over there, and sometimes they wouldn't have it on the cartoon you wanted to watch in the morning. And when they switched G.I. Joe to the morning, yes, that sucked. Let's see what everybody's saying here. Eric Dern says they played it out of order. Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, listen, it seemed like every season or so they would start out with whatever miniseries, right? Revenge of Cobra, or whatever. It'd be the Mass Device or Weather Dominant, whatever. And then they would go into the season, but a lot of times, yeah, they wouldn't really play them in order. It'd kind of bounce all around. That's for sure. Now the to be continued, yeah, now that would piss you off if they did a to be continued and didn't do it in order. But most of the time, the to be continued usually play out back to back. I just was such a big fan of the five part miniseries. I remember they play those on like Thanksgiving Day, and my cousin would come over. 3-Star would come over for Thanksgiving, and they would be playing like the Mass Device as a movie. Whatever. They'd be playing Revenge of Cobra, or they'd be playing like, whatever. They played it as a whole movie, and you could sit there and watch the whole thing. And I remember doing that a couple times on like Thanksgiving. And so that was a lot of fun back in the day. I mean, listen, you can't say enough about the G.I. Joe cartoon. It is something that, for us will forever be loved. It's a shame that kids these days just aren't going to get the same. They'll have nothing in their life like G.I. Joe, like just nothing at all. Let's see. Oh, DuckTales. I know a bunch of y'all love some DuckTales, right? And I used to watch DuckTales, 1987. So it's right there. It's right there. I'm about 12 years old, almost 12, probably when it premiered sometime before September, I'm sure. DuckTales, definitely. And the theme song, of course, seems like everybody knows it. August 12th. Oh, this is really funny. August 12th, 2017. No, that's not correct. It's the recent reboot, which I have not seen the recent reboot. Have you guys seen the recent reboot of DuckTales? 'Cause I have not seen it. But it's probably worth watching. 3 seasons. That's pretty good for a reboot of a cartoon. Actually, that's really good. Disney XD. Interesting. Okay, reboot's pretty good. New DuckTales wasn't bad. 3-Star him and his brother, they used to watch that together. Yeah, old Launchpad. Yeah. Yep. How about this one? The Real Ghostbusters. Had all the figures. Every one of them sumbitches. And some of the other little accessories and stuff. Definitely had the Real Ghostbusters. But was Real Ghostbusters, again, a Saturday morning cartoon or not? I mean, great show, obviously. And the voice of Peter Venkman is that classic voice. It's like Garfield. Dude did Garfield too, didn't he? I can't remember what his name is. I mean, yeah, 3-star draw. I mean, there are some good ones on the list so far. That's why I wanted to look at it. I did not look at it prior. Yes, I do remember when we made the firehouse out of a box. Oh my God. That's the other thing as a kid, man. Like it was fun to cut up boxes and do stuff like that. Right? Make your own buildings, and we didn't get too crazy creative. Like we never painted and stuff like that, I guess. But but we would take a marker and write on them and stuff. But yes, the real Ghostbusters, definitely. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on the list. Of course it is. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Loved watching the Turtles. I ain't gonna lie. 1987. I was all about watching the Turtles. It's a series favorite. Obviously, I had figures. But honestly, what really kicked it off for me was not the cartoon. It was the graphic novel. Because I had like first couple or three, something like that, maybe four of the first comics. And I really loved those too. I really did. I love those. I just love the way they were drawn. I love the black and white. It's grittier. The cartoon definitely had to appeal to a very, very kid base, so to speak. And so I like that down and dirty kind of New York realistic kind of thing. Matthew says that didn't really care for Turtles. A little too old for Turtles, but the 1990 movie and the comics were awesome. Yeah, and I went to see the movie too. That's for sure. Definitely went to see the movie. Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The hell is that? Is that coming out? Is that new? There it is. Number 3, the Smurfs. Love the Smurfs. I had little collectible figures, little miniature collectible figures. I don't know that I have any more. If I do, they are tucked, packed somewhere away. I do still have a couple California raisins. I think I still have a couple California raisins. And in a box somewhere. And the California raisins, everybody loved the raisins. Look at your boy Gargamel. Man, what a sad sack. You know what I mean? Like Gargamel, just a ugly son of a bitch. That poor fella. Duct tape. He got duct tape on his and he wore like a black gown, like a muumuu. What a goofball. Matthew hated the Smurfs. He hated them so much he said it twice. Eric Thurman was not allowed to watch the Smurfs. Why were you not allowed to watch the Smurfs, Eric? The Hardee's raisins. Yep. Yojo Depot has the whole collection up there. That's cool. 3-star draw mug is a wizard. Can't conjure up some needle and thread. Yeah, it's obviously a patch, but it looks like duct tape, doesn't it? Looks terrible. Poor guy. And it's on his wait a second. Hang on. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? Are you seeing what I'm seeing in this picture? Are you guys seeing what I'm seeing in this picture? Hang on. Okay. He's got a patch on this elbow. Why is this in the middle? Are you thinking what I'm thinking? Them Smurfs better watch out. Smurfette better watch out. You'd think you'd have like one on the knee over here and one on the knee over. No, it's literally it's in the middle. What is happening? Oh my God, I've lost control. All right, sorry. I couldn't help myself. All right, so something about the female character. Smurfette. Really? Smurfette was why you couldn't watch it? That's interesting. I can't really think of much of Smurfette that would have been, that wasn't appropriate for kids. Just off the top of my head. Yeah, I trying to think of something. I just can't really think of anything. Um, let's see. Texting my son real quick. All right. So the Smurfs. Yep. Matthew hated them. I loved them at the time. I was probably, debuted in 81. Yeah, as a little kid, I was all about some Smurfs. I mean, I was. I don't remember it being satanic or thought of as satanic. I don't really remember that personally, but I was pretty little. Mask is number 2 on this list. So this Mask is above G.I. Joe. It's above now this says forgotten 80s cartoons. I don't think Smurfs is forgotten. G.I. Joe's forgotten. But anyway, Mask is number 2 up here. Okay. I loved Mask. I had several vehicles, several guys. I used to take them on vacations, man. When my family would drive to Florida, I'd be in the back seat and I'd be down in the floorboard and I would sit, put my knees in the floorboard and I would play with them on the seat. And Mask was an easy one to take because the Mask vehicles were not humongous and the figures were really small. So you could take them and, play with them. And so I'd play with them in the car. I'm sure my sister was not, particularly fond of me sitting back there. But yeah, no, I loved Mask, man. And I think it'd be cool for them to do another Mask series, but it is definitely of a time, right? It's of a time. And I think it's an 80s toy for sure. It's transforming cars, so to speak. You could think of them as smaller G.I. Joe figures in a way, I guess. And you got Venom, so it's like Cobra. Um, let's see real quick what he. Yeah. Just texting the feller back real quick. Yeah, so Mask. Dig it. Number 2, a little bit of a surprise. Eric Thurman going back to the female Smurf says she was transformed female. Huh. Okay. Like with magic or something? I can't remember. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't remember the whole thing. She is the only female in the village, though. That's for sure, right? Isn't she the only one? That's why all the guys are, after her, right? Yeah. Toys were small, but I liked Mask. It wasn't like my favorite, but I definitely had some of the toys for sure and played with them. And then we have Jim and the Holograms. Now, don't lie, fellas. Don't you lie. If you were a fan of Jim and the Holograms, I was not a fan of Jim and the Holograms. And I'll tell you why I was not a fan. And it's not because any other reason other than, for me, I was a boy and it was a girl's brand. And so as a kid, as a young boy, I just was not into Jim. I didn't watch it, just like I didn't watch She-Ra. And it's not because of like, oh, I hate them stupid girl stuff. But for me, I never watched it because I just didn't watch the girls' cartoons. Um, that was about as simple as that. It's like, I'm not gonna watch Jim because it's a girls' cartoon, and it wasn't even like, oh, icky girl, It's like I just didn't, and it was the same way with She-Ra. I didn't watch She-Ra either. It was a girls' cartoon in my mind, and those cartoons were not meant for me. That's the way that I took them as a kid. No one told me that. No one told me to be that way. Nobody told me you can't watch this. It was literally nothing like that. It's just I was like, this it's not made for me. That's what I thought. So I just never watched it. 3-Star definitely watched it. He says I watched the shit out of some Jim, but it wasn't on Saturday mornings. Yeah, I definitely don't remember that. I do remember when Saturday morning cartoons started to phase out. That's for sure. Matthew said, I can't say I was a fan, but I watched it sometimes. His wife loved it. And he did watch She-Ra. I know a lot of guys that watch She-Ra. I do. I mean, I don't know a lot of people. I haven't talked to a lot of people about Jim and the Holograms per se, but as far as She-Ra, yeah, I do know, a lot of people a lot of people who watch She-Ra for sure, and it's because they, sometimes, obviously He-Man would come in, guest appear, whatever too. But so yeah, that was. But anyway, that's a cool little list. I was just kind of want to go over it. It was much of a surprise to me, as far as going through it, because I had not really looked at it at all. And I mean at all. I had not even checked out one second of that list at the time. So let's see here. Boom ba boom 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 ba ba doo boom 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 boom. I got a few other little things to bring up. Let's talk about Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice. So, tracking for a huge September opening with possible 80 million. So right now, people are saying that it's looking like it's going to track super high, according to sources. What I find interesting, because listen to this. So listen to this real quick. It says director Tim Burton and Warner Brothers highly anticipated Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice is tracking to open as high as 80 million at the North American box office when it flies into theaters September 6th. According, you can't read, man. So look, I'm going to tell you guys one of my pet peeves now. Something that really pisses me off. You can't read a fucking article anymore online. Because without spelling issues, without all kinds of miscues, with missing words, you name it. And I'm like, does anybody proofread this shit anymore? Or do they just feed it through and they just say, yeah, just print it, stick it online? Like, it happens all the time. I swear to God, it's like 5 out of every 10 articles I read have some spelling error or other error, punctuation error, you name it. It's fascinating now that no one there's no proofreaders and obviously there's no editors anymore in the news business. Jesus. I mean, I'm not kidding. It blows me away. All right, so here we go. Director Tim Burton and Warner Brothers highly anticipated Beetlejuice is tracking to open as high as 80 million at the North American box office when it flies into theaters September 6th, according sources with access to data from leading research firm NRG. No, according to sources with access to data. Jesus. Who is NRG? I don't know, but evidently they have sources and they have access, and they're a research firm. Nonetheless, it says, now one way to guess would be off of like pre-sale tickets, right? Pre-sale tickets, but maybe they're using Parrot Analytics, people talking about it, you know, Twitter, Instagram, whatever. It says Warner's is being more conservative, suggesting 65 to 75 million, considering that tracking has often been off as of late, either turning out to be too low or too high. It's the first two paragraphs. The first two paragraphs is so stupid. Number one, we have a fucking missing a word, according to sources with access to data from leading research firm NRG. So they're predicting 80 million because NRG says so, leading research firm. However, Warner Brothers has changed those figures, considering that tracking has often been off as of late, either turning out to be too high or too low. Oh my, it's one or the other. Oh my God, it's so stupid. This is fucking stupid. This is the kind of shit you get to read. Christ almighty. And I see some things in the chat right now, and I want to comment on this too. I do want to comment on it. So yeah, tracking's been off. It's either too high or too low. Hello, it's one or the other. And so if tracking's been off, then why even put, that's what's so funny, because you put out a speculative number and you go, well, a leading research firm, NRG, says it's going to be 80 million. But then you right below it, you say tracking has often been off as of late. So that those two, sentences, whatever, back to back, just totally fucking contradict themselves. It's terrible. Whoever wrote this article, Pamela McClintock, you fucking suck. Jesus Christ, man. Gender studies right out of college. Guarantee you that's who wrote this article. So anyway, so they're saying 80 million. Warner's, has their own property, saying 65 to 75. Who knows? Could be higher, could be lower. That's my big prediction. It could be higher and it could be lower. That's a hot take right there. Yeah, so the family gets together because the father dies. Jeffrey Jones' character, he's dead. Of course, they killed him off because he's a Eddie file. And so he's not in the movie. They come back for his funeral. It reunites the family. It's quite fascinating. Check this out. The 88 film transformed into a cult classic and grossed 74 million at the box office, or more than 195 million when adjusted for inflation. So only 195 million dollars if you adjust it for today's. That's not a very good gross, even for today's standards. Especially if it was like $100 million budget. $80 million budget, barely turn a profit. Now I see a little conversation going on here, and this is interesting. Matthew says, I love Beetlejuice, but I can't imagine this being good. It's going to be worse than Ghostbusters Afterlife. And then 3-Star says, well, since Afterlife was pretty damn good, I'll go with that. I thought Afterlife was disappointing. I thought it was member-berry. I didn't like what they did with Egon. And I thought the Ghostbusters were just too fucking old. It just wasn't effective at the end. Like, they just fucking old, man. It sucks. I hate to say it. The movie just didn't hit me. And I took my son, and he said he felt the same way. I was mildly entertained during Afterlife. But Eric Thurman says Beetlejuice is my favorite Batman. 3-star. Matthew says 3-star to each his own. Which I mean, look, hey, again, I'll always say that, whatever you like, I'm down. I really don't care. There's shit I like. I know people are like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" Right? Like, I get it. I do. But he liked Beetlejuice. Or what? So wait, Matthew, did you like Beetlejuice or did you like Afterlife, but it wasn't that good? Which one were you talking about? Personally, and I had this conversation actually with 3-star. I did have this conversation with 3-star just the other day. Is that I went back recently and I watched Beetlejuice with my son because I was like, "Oh, you got to see this movie. You got to see it. You got to love it. It's so funny. It's so fun." And honestly, it was actually kind of boring. I loved it as a kid, right? Like I have all these fond memories as a kid of it. It's like, oh my God, the transformations and the claymation and the stop motion and the worm but honestly, as an adult, and this was only maybe like 2 years ago we watched it. So he's like 14, well old enough to see it. And as an adult, it's like when the movie was over, not only did he not have anything to say at all, but I also was kind of like, man, I remember this being a lot better. But after watching the first Beetlejuice movie just a couple years ago, there's some parts, but honestly, as much as I hate to say it, it didn't hold up for me. It just didn't hold up for me. And when they announced this second movie, part of me was like, okay, that's fun, that's cool. Bring it back, have a decent amount of the cast back. And Jenna Ortega, she's fun. But the more I think about it, I'm just worried it's going to be filled with nothing but member berries. Like a lot of these films tend to do. And it could be good. Could be really good. I mean, if it's tracking for $80 million opening, as NRG says it's going to, or even if it's 65 to 75, that's a great opening. I don't know what the budget is for the movie. I could probably look it up and see real quick and just give us an idea of what this film needs to make a profit. I just, like I said, just going back and watching the original Beetlejuice again. I just, for whatever reason, like I just didn't. It just didn't do it for me. I hate to say it, but it just didn't. There were parts, and I remember all those parts. I remember a lot of the movie. But yeah, it's just didn't do it for me. So I don't know. We'll see. I will I see it? Probably so, because it's from back in those days, right? And so I'd love to go see it, support something from back in the day. Interesting. I was trying to see. I was really trying to see what. So far, I can't find any really information on the Beetlejuice, like as far as the budget. I click on budget, I look up, the any kind of information, and I can't get anything. It doesn't have no information whatsoever as far as the budget's concerned. Then when I type in, when I type in Beetlejuice budget, it takes me to like a regular Beetlejuice article. Now the first film The first film made money because it had a $15 million budget. So it actually, I mean, that's great. It grossed 73 million on a budget of 15. So, you know, they made some money off of it. That's great. I'll try one more time to see because I am curious what the budget would be for this. As of February 24th, the budget for Beetlejuice 2 is 15 million. The original also had a budget of 15 million. Well, shit. If the budget for this movie is 15 million and it does either what Warner Brothers or NRG, you know, the leading research company, even though predictions have been wildly off lately, often, $15 million budget. If it does 65 or 75 or 80, that's a success. If they're able to make this film on a $15 million budget, then that's pretty damn good. Kind of like Godzilla -1. I mean, really, if we're talking about, you know, a budget like that and having a hit. Yeah, and see, that's what I'm saying. It says 15 million in today money. Right. I mean, that's a report I just read. That's the only one I could find, though. And so yeah, if they only use 15 million, that's why I said like Godzilla -1 had a very small budget and it racked up big time. So, you know, you got to think so on a small, and that's what Hollywood has to do now. Hollywood needs to make smaller budgeted films with good filmmakers, that movies that aren't 3 hours long. We don't need a 2.5 hour rom-com or comedy. You know, we don't need a 3 hour drama. You know, we need a $25 million budget type of movies that are well written with good casting. And we used to get a lot of those movies, and we don't now because everything has become all about the tentpole movie. It's become about the big movie, and that big movie basically supports a company for the whole year. They could put out shit the rest of the year, but if they have one Spider-Man No Way Home, or they have one Deadpool Wolverine, or they have one whatever, right? Oppenheimer, Barbie, whatever, that pays for all the failures they had. But the thing of it is, the true test for Hollywood is that you don't want to just have one big giant movie so that it takes care of all the bullshit you put out. You also need some of those mid movies in there, some of those middle movies in there that help make up those costs, but are productive, that turn a profit. So when you have a lot of those mid-level movies with a $20 million budget, $10 million budget, you know, 30 million instead of 110, 170. For God's sake, no television show needs to have a $170 or $200 million budget. That's first and foremost. No television show ever, streaming show, should ever have a budget that high, especially when it's only 8 episodes. But yeah, Hollywood needs the return of your middle, good quality movie that attracts a moviegoer, that makes somebody want to go see the movies. And they've lost that ability because everything they're putting out, it's like baseball. Baseball now has become either a home run or a strikeout. You know, there's not as many stolen bases. There's not as many singles or doubles, no triples. And every at bat either ends in a home run or a strikeout. And that's kind of what Hollywood is like right now. It's either a home run or it's a strikeout. And we've gotten a lot more strikeouts than we've gotten home runs. And it's indicative of the studios swinging for the fences almost every time they go out. Right? And then you see like a Borderlands movie, which did have a pretty small budget, and it's still going to lose money. That's because sometimes shit films are just made. Anyway, so yeah, we'll see. Beetlejuice tracking for 80 million opening. You know, it definitely could happen. I don't know. Did you guys see this too? I want to show you this. This Disney lawsuit. So this man and this woman ate at a restaurant inside Disney property, Disney World, and his wife died of a nut allergy. She died at hospital later that day, even though several times they told the waiters, they told people that she has a severe nut allergy. So, and we've had people like this at my job. They come in, they say, listen, you please, whatever you do, have somebody change their gloves. They can't handle any cornbread. Please don't put it on the plate and forget and take it off. Like crazy allergy shit. And you have to respect that stuff. And so evidently this guy, and his wife ate at a restaurant, in Disney World, and she died of a severe nut allergy. And he was suing Disney. He was suing Disney, and their lawyers basically are contending that it should be thrown out of court. Now, he's only suing for $50,000, which is crazy to me. But it said because the husband signed up for a free trial of Disney Plus, in the terms of service, when he signed up for that free trial, he forfeited his right to sue Disney, and any case has to be taken to arbitration. So, the terms of service that you get when you sign up for a streaming service, or you buy an Xbox game or whatever it is, and you scroll through it real quick to get to the bottom, or you just accept it, right? You just accept it to accept it. In that terms of service, Disney has, Disney Springs, on Disney property. But yeah, so let's see. Yeah. Jeffrey Piccolo filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Disney after his wife died following a severe allergic reaction after she ate in one of Walt Disney World's restaurants. The lawyers are contending that because Piccolo once signed up for a free trial of Disney Plus and signed the user agreement, which stipulates arbitration be used in place of a lawsuit, he can't sue the park. Also, it says that since the trial was in 2019, the company argues that he agreed to the terms again when he purchased the couple's Disney World tickets last year. So look, a lot of people are like, look, that's not going to go. Look, I have lawyers that come in. I have lawyers that come into my bar all the time. I have two of them that I talk to probably every day I go to work. Shit ain't gonna fly. Like that, it's not gonna fly. And look, some states have a cap on how much money, can be sued for damages, how much somebody can receive. And as Frostbite says, no jury is going to accept that. He waived the right to sue Disney through a streaming service because they killed us. Yeah, it's absurd, right? But again, it's a clown world that we live in. It is a PR disaster. But what is amazing to me is that Disney has gone through several PR disasters and somehow keep coming out the other end. Like, I don't get it. I know they've lost a lot of money. I know people are leaving Disney Plus. I know people aren't going to the parks. I know people aren't seeing the movies. But somehow, some way, PR disaster or not, somehow they keep finding themselves on the other end of it, right? I don't know. I don't know what it is. But yes, the fact that they even, listen, the insensitivity, and we are talking about lawyers, Howard. But yes, I mean, look, the guy's wife died. They even, I mean, if you go through it, they asked many times about the with the allergy and try to be as careful. And you know, these people, when they go out to eat, because if this lady had this, you got to know this is a couple who literally gives you they read you the riot act when you're a server. You know, they literally, you know, are like, hey, can we see the allergen list? You know, can you tell us if there's mayonnaise in your white barbecue sauce? Can you tell us if, you know, and you've got to find that stuff out. You've got to go ask. You have to go find that shit out. You can't just make that shit up. You can't just lie to somebody, right? Like, you just can't. So you have to go look it up. You have to go find the information. And so this couple, it's not unusual for them to do this when they go out. So chances are the restaurant dropped the ball on this, not the couple. And him signing up for a fucking Disney Plus free trial and then purchasing fucking tickets, he forfeits the right to sue them because of something that has nothing to do with the situation that happened. I mean, it's just a shitty look, man. Like, come on, Disney. You're going to give the fucking acolyte $180 million budget to that fruitcake freak, Harvey Weinstein's former personal assistant, lesbian headlamp. But you're going to bring this shit up because this guy's fucking wife died? To try to get out of paying? Like, get the fuck out of here, man. I mean, that's the kind of people you're dealing with. Like, these are the kind of people you're dealing with. Then you wonder, like, oh, what kind of person is Bob Iger? Kathleen Kennedy? It's fucking garbage. That's what they are. They're fucking garbage. And I know they have nothing to do with this facet of the business, right? But, like, come on, man. Like, you just got to know. 3-Star Draw says this is the company that threatened legal action on daycares for having the characters drawn on windows. And actually, they refused for a little boy to have Spider-Man put on his tombstone when he died. Family wanted to put Spider-Man on his tombstone, and they said no. They said, no, you can't do that. But they love kids, right? Yeah, they love kids. There's something about kids they really, truly love. Yeah, so here's the deal, right? So frostbite, yes, I brought this up to someone. Yes, if you have an allergy that can kill you, are you brave enough to let a teenager serve you, food holding your life in your hands? True. But again, yes, okay, it's what my mom said during COVID, and she's in her 70s. And my mom said during COVID, hey, I'm old. If I'm worried about getting COVID, then I'm not going to go out. So if people go out to a restaurant, don't complain and bitch and fucking moan about it. If you're willing to go out to a restaurant. So I get it. I get that. I understand what you're saying. But just because somebody has a nut allergy doesn't mean they shouldn't be able to at least go out and enjoy themselves. And so, it is, it is tough. But, and yeah, I mean, the couple, take your own food. Yeah, but again, restaurants have lists and they have allergen lists. And those allergen lists are, that's what you go by. It's what your ingredients are in your food. So you're able to let people know that they can or cannot have something. So really and ultimately, it is up to the restaurant. Should you put your life at risk? Yes. Should you carry an EpiPen? I guess, right? You would think so, but maybe that's not enough, and depending on what it is and how quickly it can happen for some people, it's that severe. But for people, they may not know it's going to be that severe, right? Like, you don't know. But it is ultimately the restaurant's responsibility to provide that information. After, working in a restaurant for such a long time, I promise you it is. And I've had to look that stuff up. Sometimes you're busy as fuck. And it's a pain in the ass to go track somebody down or track a manager down or find the laminated list that's got the allergen list, because that shit gets passed all over the fucking place. Matthew says totally shitty. By the way, he bought the tickets through the app. They're hiding behind the app. Yeah, no. It's just TOS bullshit. And yeah, 3-star draw. Look it up. You can Google it. Google Spider-Man, Tombstone, Disney, something along those lines. You'll find the story. You can Google it. You can dig it up. But anyway, yeah, just another example of a fucking company, right? Multi-billion-dollar company, that says they give a fuck about people, right? And then pull some shit like this. I got a couple more stories I want to bring up. One is real quick too. What do you guys think about Nicolas Cage playing John Madden? Evidently, Nicolas Cage has landed a role to play John Madden in a biopic. I don't see it. Here's a side by side. You guys tell me what you think. Nicolas Cage as John Madden. Now, look, I like Nick Cage as much as the next guy. Kinda. Fuck, man. I mean, don't do Johnny Madden like this. Right? Like, come on, man. Nick Cage, the over actor extraordinaire. I just don't know. Like, and it seems like everything Nick Cage does anyway is just straight to DVD red box, man. Like, just bullshit. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I don't know that I can believe him as Al Davis. Look at him as Al Davis. Right? I can see him as Al Davis. I cannot see this man as John Madden. Even in his younger years, I can't see him. And hell, Nick Cage is about as old as Madden is right here. Yet. Is he going to portray him when he was in his 30s coaching the Oakland Raiders to a Super Bowl? Like, I don't know, man. Maybe his early 40s. That's I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, I thought that was pretty funny. Nick Cage getting a chance to play John Madden. I don't know where that came from. I have no idea. It's yeah, I don't know. I just can't see it. There's another article here too about Alien Romulus that I wanted to bring up here. There's a couple of them, but one of them in particular I wanted to share with y'all. The Mary Sue, which is a website that I absolutely detest, but when I prepare for some of these shows, I like to scan all kinds of websites for articles. And the Mary Sue has an article, and I hate all the ads on their website because this is brutal. Basic an article that says the secret sauce within this movie that makes it stand out. What do you think it is? Because I thought this article was going to be something completely different than what it ended up being. Okay. It talks about the secret sauce for this movie and what makes it so that, like, you can't even read. Look at this. Look at the website. You can't even read it. Like, you can't even read it. It's got so much shit on it. God, Jesus. All right. The Mary Sue. Alien Romulus' secret ingredient makes it better than 90% of summer blockbusters. And the reason they say is right there. Practical effects. I'm not going to go through the article because It's a bullshit website for one. But I thought it was interesting actually that they actually brought that up. That that it practical effects. There is a mixture of practical and CGI. And what I have heard is that you'll see the CGI and you'll know it's CGI, right? When you see it. And for some people, they're not crazy about it. It's I love practical effects. I just had this conversation the other night at work. I wish that more movies got it, because I remember going to my cousin's house and picking up his Fangoria magazines and like seeing how they would do the practical effects in the Freddy Krueger movies or whatever slasher flick that was out at the time, like in the 80s. And I loved it. I loved reading those magazines, and they'd show you, they would show you the masks and how they worked and the actors behind the mask. And I love that stuff. I love practical effects. I think it's a damn shame that there's a lot of people out of work that are true craftsmen of their trade, creating masks and puppets and the latex costumes and all the stuff, right? Whatever. And their people are out of business. They're out of business. They have no jobs. And it's all CGI now. And the thing of it is, we've reached that uncanny valley. Like we just know CGI, and we know when it's fake. It's like looking at Princess Leia or Tarkin in the Rogue One movie. Like you just see it, and it just makes you feel dirty. Like there's some weird thing. Like you just know it's wrong. Like you're like, ugh, those eyes, those dead eyes. It's always the eyes. They just look fucking weird. And the lips. And really, with CGI, man, the process with lighting and how light reflects off of the skin, and you have pores, and your face stretches a certain way when you make certain words and expressions, and they just haven't been able to get that right yet. Surface scattering. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. I don't know how to do it, but I've watched a lot. I've stayed at a Holiday Inn Express last night. So there's a lot that goes into it. And I know that the people that are at the top of the game obviously know what they're doing. But for me, it's like practical effects, man, with the right lighting and camera angles and the actors. And also, too, can you imagine being an actor and there's some dude in a skin tight green, like green suit that looks like a green screen, and his big old dong, like he's wearing like tidy whities or something, and he's got a big old dong, but he's got like a tennis ball in his hand, or a tennis ball on a tube attached to the top of his fucking head or hanging off of his nose, and you're supposed to act against that. It's like I just can't imagine. Shit, it's like that commercial. You see that one commercial that I don't know if it's a Snickers commercial, but it's got that one goofy guy, and they're doing a set where they're being chased by aliens, and then they get to where the alien is, and it's this dude in one of those stupid suits, and he's got like the fucking he's got the tennis balls or something, and all the little balls attached to his body, and they're it reminds me of that commercial. Yeah, that's right, Frostbite. I know where your eyes are. Oh my god. Shit is so dumb. Alien Romulus, though, is getting some great well, the media has been paid to give it some great reviews out of the gate, but there are people that I trust that I've already watched reviews, and I trust their reviews. Will I go to see it? I don't know. I don't quite know. I thought about it Sunday night after I dropped my son off. Right now, it's got an 81% critic got an 87% audience score. So we'll see if that holds. I think there are some fundamental flaws in the movie from what I understand already. Again, from people that I trust. It doesn't mean that, I shouldn't see it for myself, but the cost of a movie ticket is about the cost of a down payment on a new car. So you got to be very choosy when deciding what movies you want to spend your money on. Yes, practical effects, I think, will always be greater than the CGI crap, too. And look, don't get me wrong. It's it's not like we didn't know that the practical effects were practical effects when we were kids, even back then. I mean, you knew it. You could see it. You could see it's a fucking puppet or it's a rubber thing and somebody's hiding under the table and there's a hole in the table and they come bursting out of the fucking chest or the stomach. I mean, you know it. You know it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, it's still practical effects, man. There's a place for it in the business. It's a shame though that the way things are, it just will never go back to that. Who's to say that it's not as cost effective? It's not more cost effective than CGI. Hell, CGI probably takes up a large part of the budget. Practical effects, may very well not. Matthew Matson says Mr. H liked it. I think I'll be okay with that. The critics we listen to, I still think I like it. Yeah, I listen to the same people you do. I saw some 4 out of 10s. I saw some 6s and whatever, in there. It's below or above average, I guess. Frostbite has a mate that gave it a 6 out of 10. He's a big Alien fan. And yeah, better than Alien Resurrection, 100%. Yeah, pretty much. So we'll see. We'll see. Maybe Sunday night. I might. Obviously none of you guys are going to see the Border. I'm guessing the Borderlands movie, correct? Am I correct in assuming that none of you are going to go see that? I was watching Red Letter Media the other day on their Borderlands review. And I caught this snippet of a Kevin Hart interview, and I thought this was really fucking interesting. Him talking about his character, okay? And I wanted to play this clip because he is describing his character and the motivation I guess of his character. And so I want you guys to hear this because you want to talk about some gobbledygook. Listen to Kevin Hart describe the Roland character in this film and tell me whether this makes any sense to you.
It's a world where now I laugh at myself being in it because Roland is a guy who has a narrative attached to an agenda of good, right? And his agenda of good comes from once upon a time being a part of something that wasn't so good, that he felt that he had to detach from because of where his life has taken him. And in this new place of living, in this new place of life, there's a found respect for the place of Pandora and for the things that possibly could be attached in it or to it, where he can be part of the conversation of making better, of making things good. And, when there's a reason to hold on and care, he shows true heart. He shows a side of humanity that I think grounds this space that we're in. You're in sci-fi. So that moment or those moments where you're able to ground the idea of what's in this world of fiction are really, really good.
I've sort of gone.
What the fuck did he just say? That was a bunch of fucking bullshit. And I think he's like attached to something that he just wasn't attached to. And like the reality is that he can be a part of a place that's grounded in this, it's science fiction where it comes to reality. And he's at a place in his life where he feels like he needs to be needed, to need somebody. Like, what the fuck was that? I heard that the other day and I was like, holy shit. That is a bunch of nothing. That is an actor being an actor. That is an actor being an actor. Okay. Holy crap. Truly. Um Oh my goodness gracious. All right, so let's give you guys I'm gonna give y'all a little something to go to bed to. I'm gonna give y'all a little bit of one ray gun. Oh yeah. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for some break dancing. Here we go. Right here.
aka Ray Gun. Let's see what you got, White Shadow.
Yeah, Ray Gun, take it away.
You
Take
see,
it
now
away.
these moves are a reference to the quokka found on Rottnest Island. They're known for doing sideways roly-polies and jiggling about when it's someone's. Every Aussie knows that when an echidna is stranded on its back, this is the process it goes through to fuse into a crushed King Brown. These venomous snakes often get crushed by trucks in Central Australia. Sometimes they rise up. Will she rise? Yes! Fantastic execution. I thought she might hiss with her tongue, but you got to be conservative in the Olympics. And finally here, she rolls back and expects a tummy rub. And that's just really based on the Maltese Shih Tzu, a breed of domesticated dog that we love in Australia. We love it. What's next? Crouching Redback. I did not think we would see that on the world stage. Her American opponent better look out. She's going to get tangled in a web of down-under anaphylactic, life-threatening shock. Every wanker watching this is like, this is otherworldly, whereas we know it in Australia as fucking Tuesday. This routine is a Tuesday at the local pub with a chicken palmy special. I can smell it through the screen. Baby shark, like a baby great white shark, back into Crouching Redback. How will she finish it? Hidden Magpie! Fuck yes! Crouching Redback into Hidden Magpie. If that's not gold. Here, Dr. Gunn is just spending some time upside down.
Dr. Gunn.
Because that is how everyone sees Australia anyway. I don't know why you're all offended by this. Do it. Do it. Yes, Sprinkler.
Oh.
Tuesday night at the local pub. And Big Red Boomer. That's my favorite. Shout out.
It reminds me of a 5-year-old when they go to dance and they just start flipping around on their head like and pitching over, right? And like doing the curly shuffle on the ground. Oh my god, I can't even.
Welcome back, you legends. Let's have
I do want to tell you, like, it is really, 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 really hard to find that video. It is really hard to find that video. As a matter of fact, finding that video without commentary or a YouTuber having already done a video on it, just finding the original video, this shit is hard. I am not kidding you. That shit was hard, man. Trying to find that original video, and I couldn't. As the best I could find was on Twitter was that video right there. Oh my god. Yeah, I looked all over for it. I want to have the regular video. You can't find it on NBC, on any Olympics. They don't even have the breakdancing on their Olympic coverage breakdown on Peacock. Like, you cannot find that shit anywhere. And that just goes to show you, right, that they don't want to. They're scared. They don't want to show it. They don't want people being able to pull it up. So you got to really dig for it because of the fact that this girl, her feelings are hurt. I don't give a shit if her feelings hurt or not. That shit is not Olympic breakdancing. It's definitely not Olympic level breakdancing. And if they let you in, then that's Australia's problem. They should have known better. Come on now. I mean, seriously. And Clint Jorgensen stopping by too. What's going on, man? The bigger problem with the music they used. Yeah, I don't know. We tried to watch it, we tried to watch it at work, but it was really hard to hear at the time. And so, going back, I haven't even been able to hear the music because everything I could find on it already has voiceover or music over the top of it. So I couldn't even get that original video to even see it. Yeah, I mean, man, that shit was funny as fuck. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. Yes. That's the sad part, right? She had to beat someone for a spot in it, right? From what I understand, there's 13 people that tried out for the Olympic team, maybe, or something. I'm not sure. I probably had those numbers wrong, but they probably just didn't have a lot of people. I did want to show this story real quick as well. It's a video game coming out, Black Myth Wukong. You play as a monkey. It's kind of like a Souls-like, but not really. It's actually less of a Soul-like and more of an adventure fighting game. All right. But you play as a monkey, you talk to other monkey people. And this is a Screen Rant article, and Screen Rant gave it a score. They actually gave it a score. Let's see if I can find it at the very bottom. Let's see. They gave it a 3 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3 out of 5. Now, they gave it a 3 out of 5. They would have given it a 4 out of 5. Okay. Would have given it a 4 out of 5. However, they took a point off. And there's a reason they took a point off. And it's because it largely lacks inclusion and representation. Yes, folks, this game where you play as a monkey. The female gamer that reviewed this game, it allowed her to notice issues surrounding inclusion and representation. As far as chapters 1 and 2, while characters are clearly fictitious and fantastical creatures, there were no female or feminine NPCs, enemies, or bosses present. Again, let me repeat that. As far as chapters 1 and 2, while characters are clearly fictitious and fantastical creatures, there are no female or feminine NPCs, enemies, or bosses present. So, in other words, you're saying, since it's clearly fictitious and fantastical creatures, they're all trans. Is that what she's saying then? The characters are all trans, clearly fictitious and fantastical creatures. But no female or feminine NPCs, enemies, or bosses. The only exception, if you can call it female, is a boss named Mother of Stones in Chapter 2, which is nothing more than a still glowing rock with no abilities, being guarded by other enemies. Oh, like Geode from the Star Wars High Republic books? The lack of diversity and inclusivity resonates with the misogynistic comments reported to have been made by developers. Now, let me tell you something. There was a report that came out earlier about this company, and it came out that they were misogynistic and all this shit. No. The people who wrote the article mistranslated the language. And so the jokes and the conversation that was used are clearly normal they're crude, some of the references, but they're not misogynistic. So the quotes from this developer was not translated correctly, and yet there were still articles written saying that they were sexist and misogynistic and all this shit. So Screen Rant is still running with that story, even though they're not saying it was actually mistranslated to English and correcting that story. They're still running with the story, taking a point off of their review and still running with this bullshit. So again, same old shit from the same old bullshit media. They're fucking telling you, they're continuing a lie. Okay, there are still people out there that think Rittenhouse shot a black person. There are still people out there who think Rittenhouse shot a black person. So, to continue this lie is irresponsible at best, and it's fucking disingenuous horseshit to put this in their fucking review. And this review is long as fuck, too. I mean, dude, come on, man. Look, the lack of diversity and inclusivity resonates with the misogynistic comments reported to have been made by developers, which express disdain for women playing their games. Not true. Although Black Myth Wukong does have truly enjoyable moments, the underlying feeling that women aren't welcome in this world felt present throughout my gameplay experience. No one cares. It's worth noting the game is based on the novel Journey to the West, which does consist of a few important female characters. To not include any women or to include a few in an adaptation meant for modern audiences is quite disconcerting. Modern audiences fucking suck, asshole. They're gay. Modern audience is a fucking myth. It doesn't exist. They are in truly small fucking numbers. Christ. While this doesn't take away from the exhilaration and fun of boss fights themselves, women fans of Souls-like game may have a different perspective. They won't. Especially given that, according to reports, the developer also suggested that women aren't capable of enjoying or being skilled at these types of games. They didn't. It's called jokes. Which obviously this bitch can't understand and doesn't have a sense of fucking humor, and also lies through her fucking teeth to write an article without correcting the fucking truth. Oh, get this. The irony behind this sentiment is that Black Myth Wukong is among the easiest of Souls-like games. It's not a Souls-like. It's just not. It's not a Souls-like. It's an action game. It's an action adventure game. And may have overestimated its ability to hang with them in terms of difficulty. Like, just the fact you give it a 3 out of 4, you take a point off of it because of a lie that you continue to perpetrate. It is not enough to warn. Look, while it has some exceptional features, including its visuals, combat design, and many extraordinarily exhilarating boss fights, as well as a compelling plot line. So it has all of that shit that anybody wants in a fucking game. It is not enough to warrant a better score, given that most of its shortcomings lie in performance, diversity, and wasted environmental factors. Like, what the fuck? Oh my God. Fuck the diversity. Fuck the inclusion. Fuck your DEI bullshit. Besides the fact, this person only played 2 chapters. They played 2 chapters. That's it. Does it have PC performance issues? Yes. Yes, it does. I also love this. Editor's note. The author's name has been removed for their safety. So see, you can't even have somebody write a fucking article and stand by their fucking word. Okay? Like, you can't even have somebody stand by their article. And of course, yeah, it's an IGN article that talked about the job recruitment posters. This has all been disproven. It's absolutely been disproven. And yet, no one will run that story. Nobody will run the fact that the shit has been corrected, that it's because of translation errors. No one will run with that shit. It's the games media that does this shit. It's our regular media that does this shit with everything else. It's the same old bullshit. And they do this shit because there's so many stupid fucking people in this world. And they know it, that fall for this shit. Yes, I do know who Alex Stein is, and I do watch him. Definitely. Alex Stein's awesome. Yeah, but this is garbage. And yet, you know, there are people in this world who will believe this shit. They'll take this shit, they'll regurgitate this shit. You know, this is the first game by Game Science, the developers. Their first game ever. So far looks to be pretty damn good for them. And you still have these fake ass bullshit games journalists that write shit ass articles like this, take points off of their score, which factors into Metacritic, mind you, right? This shit shows up on Metacritic, and sometimes, depending on the company and the developer, the publisher, and all this kind of shit, there are bonuses tied to Metacritic scores and all that shit. So when you get bullshit like this, that shit can affect stuff. Because somebody's fifis are fucking hurt, or they still believe a lie. Right? And then they take the author's fucking name off the article. Like, get out of here. So you're going to write this bullshit, and then you can't even stand by it. I just, you know, shit like that pisses me off because it's bullshit. And again, like I said, there are dumbass people out there that will fucking believe this shit because they're fucking stupid. Yeah, just like Capcom going full woke now as their localization team is altering video games for cultural adaptation, preserving context, and inclusive storytelling. So it's like their localization and translating, they're getting rid of gender-based dialogue in their fucking games. They're not going to reference he or her or she or him. It's all going to be they. Whenever you see a character talk, it's going to be they. You've already seen it in a lot of games already. These fuckers have invaded the fucking gaming industry, just like they invaded education. They invaded the fucking government. They invaded the fucking corporations. These fucking fruitcakes have invaded everything now. And they're trying to change your behavior. They call it's forced change, courtesy of fucking BlackRock and Vanguard. Yeah, Capcom, they are still around. Cultural sensitivity in characters. This is part of their bullet points. Is character design and development must be culturally sensitive. What may be acceptable in one culture might be offensive in another. Localizers play a crucial role in ensuring that characters are relatable and respectful, avoiding stereotypes because stereotypes are fucking true. That's why they're stereotypes, because they're true. God damn. And other references that could be perceived as negative in specific cultures. Inclusive language and representation. I'll show y'all this shit. This shit is, you should see this bullshit. Localization efforts extend to promoting inclusivity through language and representation. This involves adapting not only the linguistic aspects, but also addressing gender-specific language, cultural norms, diverse perspectives. I love this. The aim is to create an immersive experience where players from different backgrounds can identify with the characters and narratives. This can be very challenging for certain languages due to grammar. You don't fucking say. Like someone who's fucking Asian trying to speak English. But guess what happens when somebody that's Asian tries to speak English? It sounds like English. Fuck. Adapting humor and wit. Humor often relies on cultural references and wordplay, making it a challenging aspect of game localization. Translators must carefully navigate puns, jokes, and cultural references to maintain the intended comedic effect. No, you lose the comedic effect. This requires a deep understanding of the target audience's sense of humor while staying true to the original wit. You can't stay true to the original wit when you're fucking changing the fucking joke. Again, this requires a deep understanding of the target audience's sense of humor. No, you're not trying to understand the target audience's sense of humor. You're disregarding their sense of humor. You're disregarding the humor, period. That's why you get so many lame-ass, gay-ass jokes now. Because you can't be funny anymore. Who gives a fuck if somebody is offended? So what? They could go home and fucking sit in the shower, fucking turn it on and cry. Fucking little boy squat to pee. God damn it. I mean, it's just Christ. I love it. Embark on a global adventure through the lens of game localization. Global. It's the global bullshit. We're not global. We're not a fucking global whatever the fuck you want to call it. We live in different tribes. Within each country, we're in our own tribes. Within each city, we're in our own fucking tribes. That's just life. We're not all joining hands and singing fucking Kumbaya. The shit ain't going down like that. I will never, ever accept that a man who dresses up like a fucking woman is a woman. That shit will never happen. I will never accept until you show me the first butt baby born. Then I don't give a fuck if you gay or not. But guess what? You can't have kids. I don't give a fuck. Facts is facts. So the bottom line is this global bullshit, this fucking forced behavior bullshit, this fucking language pronoun ass stupid shit. It's all bullshit. It's all buzzwords and buzz phrases. And it's to segregate people. It's to shame people. It's to guilt people into feeling a certain way or doing what somebody wants you to do. Period. Fuck. This shit is stupid. Like common sense. People have common sense, man. You know when shit ain't right. You know when shit is stupid. You know it. You know it when you see it. And when you have one of these fucking stupid sons of bitches trying to tell you what you see with your own two eyes, is when one of these motherfuckers tells you the sky is red. Because that's their truth. the shit sounds stupid, right? It's the same thing. It's the same shit. Like, you know what you know, you see what you see. And now you got governments, passing laws on this shit, man. Like, that shit is crazy. For a tiny few. It's nuts. I mean, ultimately the majority rules, right? I mean, that's just the way it is. And if things get too far out of whack, like too far out of whack, the majority will they'll pull it back in the other direction. I mean, it might not be pretty, but they'll pull it back in the other direction. Tolerance is fine. People have been tolerant. Most people are. They don't give a shit. Most people just want to be left alone. Don't force me to call you this. Don't force me to tell you that, say this to you. I don't even want to deal with you. But if things get too far out of whack, people they'll right the ship. I mean, it like I said, people are okay. Okay, it's your little deal. That's fine. Do your little deal. Dance your little dance and go on with your life, right? Wear your clothes, put on your makeup, do your little thing, whatever it is. Once you start crossing the line, people, they turn that fucking car around. Only a matter of time. Clint Jorgensen says you can track woke culture taking over when all of a sudden we started to believe Greedo shot first. That was George Lucas, actually, then. Yeah, it says I saw the Johns Hopkins quote from Clint also as far as the carrying a baby. But yeah, Johns Hopkins stopped doing trans surgeries because of the research data, and then start again due to political pressure. That's the thing, right? So, hey, look, in a war or whatever you want to call it, is there going to be some fallen soldiers along the way? I guess. Can't save them all, man. Even the innocent. It sucks. Are there going to be people that have that surgery that their parents pressure them into because they carry them around like a purse puppy for woke points and shit like that? Probably. The kids regret it years later because their parents forced them to do it or influenced them to do some shit. Yeah, probably. But it's not everybody. You're going to lose a few along the way. That's just the way it goes. I'm not for it. I don't think it's cool. But you ain't going to stop them all. There's too many of these crazy parents out there that they like their props from the cuckoo community, right? They like swimming in that alphabet soup with their kids. So they use their kids for brownie points. And then their kids end up hating them years later. That's their own shit. But like I said, you're still going to lose a few along the way. You can't save them all. You'd love to, but you can't. So, it's a shame. But anyway, well, my friends, I will leave you with let's see here. What do I have left? Not a whole lot left. For those of you that do play a video games, I did see something kind of nice. If you're planning on playing the new Star Wars Outlaws Ubisoft game, which kind of does look like fun, It does star a uglified female character from who it was actually modeled off of as a discount Han Solo. But if you sign up for QVC as a first time customer, you could save $30 on the game. Considering that the game's probably $60, that's a pretty good deal. So if you plan on playing Star Wars Outlaws, and if you don't, you can get Zelda or some other shit. I don't know. Spider-Man 2, PS5. It's a fun game. I have it. It's all right. It does have a lot of yeah, that story got changed, definitely. But anyway, Star Wars Outlaws, if you sign up for QVC and you purchase a $60 game, which it is, then you get $30 off you get $30 off. So yeah, not too bad. $30 off Star Wars Outlaws, you know. I'll probably see I probably will see reviews first. And then go with it. Yeah, 3-star draw. Yes, yes. I was shocked when I saw this article. I was absolutely shocked. Offering the promo and everything, because like I had no idea that QVC was still around. It blew me away. But because of shopping online and everything now, it's like, QVC, you shop on your TV, you'd watch this shit come up on TV, right? But now it's kind of, it's obsolete. And yeah, no, I thought that's pretty wild. But yeah, like I said, if you sign up for QVC, you could use that coupon to get the game. And get $30 off. And again, there's like a threshold. I think it's like $60 purchase or something like that. But I think the game is $60. So I think it'll work. So if you want to get it that way, it might be a way to get it. But it is on Ubisoft. Now, I will tell you, Ubisoft does have their own monthly gaming thing. You can sign up through either Xbox or PlayStation or whatever, I think. And it's like $15. So if you really want to play the game, you could just sign up for the service for $15, and then you can fucking cancel it after you play the game. And that's it. So yeah. And Clint, listen, they can stick a baby inside a man all they want, but like there's certain parts that women have. I'm just not quite sure that a man is going to be able to carry a baby. You're talking about possibly killing that baby just for the sake of sticking it inside a guy, like literally killing the child. I think that's, I mean, if they're cool with that, then, have at it. We'll see. Still, shit's going to be fucking weird. And, you would obviously have to be a C-section, right? You couldn't have a natural birth. There's just all kinds of wrong with that. It's fucking weird. Mattel buying out Hasbro. Rumors Hasbro's buying out Mattel are wrong. At least Hasbro will sell their toy lines, not video games and board games. Well, Hasbro actually is wanting to focus more on their board games and digital media. That's why you're seeing the boxes for their toys go kind of cheap and very not very good. You're going to see some other things. They're pulling back a decent amount, but they want to focus on digital media and they want to focus on board games. Are two things that they really, 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 really want to focus on. And so yeah, we'll see. But they're in trouble. They've lost a lot of money, and they've got to make it back up. So I don't know if anybody noticed my shirt, by the way. I actually got this from an ex-girlfriend. Support the performing arts. I love it. let's see. What is it? Warner Brothers? Warner Brothers stock. Something going on there, and people will be able to buy DC, Potter, and other brands for pennies on the dollar. Well, yeah, Warner Brothers stock took a big hit. You've also seen, Paramount TV is shut down. There's a few things going on. A lot of that stuff will be a little clearer here probably after the next quarter. Disney just had a quarter's earning report, and they're still not profitable as far as Disney Plus is concerned. They're adding a lot of stuff to their parks, but their stock was around $80-something, $80+ so yeah, we'll see. There's a lot going on, man. A lot of companies that are losing a lot of money, and everything they're putting out wasn't selling. And for some of those, it's because they jumped on the DEI train and people rejected it. And so, you've got companies operating way below the line, and they're having to make job cuts and figure out ways to save money. And it's because they attached their wagon to the fucking diversity, equity, inclusion train. And in the last 5, 6, 7 years, that train did not deliver. And yes, Disney Plus so far is and hasn't been profitable. In 2019, they said it would be profitable by 2024. Still not profitable. Now they've extended that out. We'll see. But yeah, I don't think there's any way for it to be profitable. Not when you spend $180 million on stuff like The Acolyte. You can't possibly be profitable. Anyway, all right, y'all. So look, I've gone over a little bit. I'm probably going to wrap it up. I always like just talking. Talking to the ether. But here we go through a few little stories and shit, bring up some stuff. Again, sometimes it's a slow news week. Sometimes there's stories that really interest you. So I found a few. Again, Tuesday night with Matthew Matson at 10 p.m. Eastern time. We will be going over some more pop culture. I am going to come up with some things over the next day, get a thumbnail ready, and then on a Wednesday night, I will be on 3 Star Draws channel with our Sevens Wild. With the and you guys get your list ready, join us, because that's going to be at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we're going to have the 10 GI Joe classifieds that we would give the boot to and get them out of the line, get rid of them. 10 GI Joe classifieds that we would give the boot to. And while it might be an easy list to come up with at the beginning, you start getting on 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, it starts to get a little bit harder, and you had to make some tough decisions. So that'll be our list for Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. Yes, Matthew, we need to do that. So Tuesday, let's see. Be harder to jump on earlier. We may have to do it afterwards. So when we're done Tuesday night, maybe we can at least record that, and then I can go in and make a video out of it, put it through, like the little comment type stuff up or whatever. It should be easy to suss it out. It should be really easy to kind of bat that back and forth. So I think maybe Tuesday night when we get done, if we take enough time for you and I to just kind of record that, and then I can take that and kind of put some magic to it, if that sounds good. So let me know what works for you. But yeah, so I will see y'all Tuesday night with Matthew. again at 10 p.m. Eastern, and Wednesday night with 3-Star Draw at 9 p.m. Eastern. And that's on his channel, on 3-Star Draw's channel. So anyway, I'm going to call it a night. I'm getting a little tired, and so I appreciate you guys hanging out. Hit the like button if you liked hanging out, listening. Thanks for sticking around, and for those of you in the chat, especially, thanks for sticking around as long as you have. I really appreciate it. Love having people here to talk to, and I guess I will catch everybody coming up in just a few days, man. Y'all have a good rest of the weekend, and thanks again. I'll see y'all next time.